What's good? What's good? What's good, fans? Thank you guys for tuning in to this holiday season special of the Voice of the Fans podcast. Give yourself a round of applause. Let's give our man Cleavon Steele a round of applause. Thank you for joining in. I know that was a hard-fought victory you guys had on Saturday. Have you recuperated or thawed out? I mean, which one have you thawed out?
Man, Kim, it was the torrential downpour. I mean, the skilled players really had to, show their worth, and the defense stepped up and, went down to Corvallis and took care of business. So proud of them.
Took care of business. It was a two. You guys eked out at Corvallis. You guys eked out a win. I mean, that went down to the final, 13 seconds almost. The final play of the game on defense. You guys are pretty happy about that? You're pretty confident about that?
Yeah, the win. So they went down to Corvallis and got the win.
You don't want to talk about what kind of how you got the win. You don't want to talk about that.
You
don't want to talk about
that.
And we're gonna get
14 in the country right now.
We're gonna talk about more about the Huskies and their Cougars coming up. They got a contest with the Cougars that we're gonna get to later on. The Washington State Cougars from Pullman are coming to town on Saturday. Are you guys ready for that matchup? We're going to talk about that a little later on. But fans, again, want to give yourself a round of applause for being a part of the show. This holiday special. This is week 267 of the Voice of the Fans podcast. And each and every week we get our show started just like this.
Who am I speaking to right now?
Cameron.
My name
Cameron.
is
Cam Buford.
I'm a Dolphin fan.
This is a big year for Tua to prove that he's a franchise quarterback.
I'm more a fan of boxing. Boxing is my main sport.
As a competitor, how much does that competitive spirit get in there and say, I want to fight this guy. I want to get some of this guy.
Of course, I want to fight all the guys. Of course that. But at the same time, like I keep telling you, it's a business.
Talk about that loyalty for a moment.
I'm staying there to try to make a change. Give back to the youth, get back to my community and show them that there is hope that you can make it out. Only thing is you just got to be dedicated. You got to keep your head down and stay on this course that you're heading towards.
Think about it like this. The promoter pays the fighter. The fighter pays the manager.
Okay.
So the manager works for the fighter. And the fighter works
for the promoter. Okay.
If you can see, you can believe.
So you are lifting weights currently?
When he said it's easier to score in the NBA versus Europe, did you agree with them?
To me, it's easy to score when you want to
On your team, is ball number 2 option or your number 3 option? On your team's team.
30 nights a year, he's my number 1 option. 30 nights. Can I finish right now? Do you want me to speak or do you want to conduct the interview and answer for me? Which one?
What do you think about this upcoming?
Okay. Like I was saying before.
Well, every game's a new game, so each one's a different experience, different defense, different players, different game plan. So.
Aaron, what has the game of baseball taught you?
One of the biggest things is being humble.
Can you give a message to the kids to kind of persevere through the false teachings they may be giving?
Patience.
Okay.
Patience.
As the show Voice of the Fans
Oh my goodness!
continues to evolve,
You were adding some spice to it.
it is strictly banter back and forth between myself and Cameron Buford.
I enjoy all of it.
Real ones know what's going on, right?
Like you said, it's a different voice, so I think it's a big part of my game. And every time I step on the floor, I just want to represent myself.
You play this game and you don't turn to win a championship, then why are you playing for?
I'm happy for the Mariners. I'm happy
Yeah,
for all
yeah,
that.
no, yeah, Ken, nobody.
Never mind.
Go watch the tape. Go watch the tape, and then you tell me if it was all about just a system.
Look like a buffoon.
Go do your research. Go do your study.
I'm not caught up to you guys yet. I do knowing that.
surprised at that, Ken.
Hey, give me. It's okay.
Oh, this guy.
That's what's good in sports, man. It's the big Snoop Dogg, man.
That's what's good in sports. Hey, man, thanks for making our voice your choice. You know how we do.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'd like to get the show started off, man, with a little history of what the Voice of the Fans has been through over the years, Cleavon. That's a lot, man. I got some stuff I can add in there, but that's a That's a good 3 minute shot of what we've been through, man, over the past years. Cleveland, November 22nd, 2023, week 267 of the Voice of the Fans podcast. Thank you for joining in to this holiday special, fans. Please, please, please do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button if you like the content that you're listening to. It really helps us out with the algorithm, fans. I don't ask this a lot. I don't pander to you guys a lot, but please hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button so you get notified when we got a fresh show coming up. We're going to have some different stuff going on over the weekend probably, so make sure you're abreast of what's going on. Please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Also, leave a comment, fans. Let us know where you're listening to the show from and how you're listening to the show. Where and how you listen to the show. Are you traveling during the holiday season? Are you at work? Are you listening to the live show? Let us know. Just hit us up in the comment section. How and where are you listening to the show at? And then again, appreciate the show. Any constructive criticism you have, we take that as well. Feedback, concerns, comments, complaints, I take it all. But just let us know how you're listening to the show. I appreciate that. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, fans. And again, give yourself a round of applause for tuning into the Voice of the Fans podcast, Cleveland, with the being week 267, November 22nd, day before Thanksgiving. So we're going to get to your favorite sides, Cleveland, in a minute. So if you don't have your favorite sides lined up, I want you to think about what your favorite sides are for the Thanksgiving dinner. And we'll get to how you're spending it tomorrow. But we want to talk about this week. We're going to review the past weekend in the NFL. We're going to review past kind of going on in the NBA. Something happened and pretty interesting tonight. They booed my man Kawhi. They booed my man Kawhi in San Antonio. And somebody had something to say about that. We're going to get into that a little later on. We're going to talk about the Heisman race. Woo. The Heisman race. I don't know is Marvin Harrison Jr. Is he the favorite down after that showing that team in Corvallis put on? Might it be that guy, the quarterback here in Alabama? I don't know. We're going to get into that conversation later. We're going to talk about our fantasy. Hey, how did your fantasy team do this last weekend? You want to
Not as well as I would have liked, but that's okay. I'm still in the playoffs. How about yourself? Are you in the playoffs?
I'll be in the playoffs after this week, for sure.
So
after this week,
for
sure.
No?
I mean, again, I'm just
racking. That was a yes or no question that didn't need the extra leg.
I'm just stacking W's on W's. So
okay.
I mean, you said I couldn't beat your guy Tony last week. And what happened? Where's Tony? I ain't heard from Tony in 2 weeks now.
So are you in the playoffs?
Again, stacking W's on W's right now. That's all you have to do. You have to stay focused.
Yes or no.
We have to stay focused.
Fans, that means no.
We have to stay focused on the task at hand right now. Cleveland, again, we start our show with the numbers game, Cleveland, with it being week 267 and November 22nd. When you think of the number 22, who comes to your mind first, or who wore that jersey the best?
Cam, with the peace treaty that came on between Jerry Jones and Jimmy Johnson, an actual official date for the enshrinement into the Cowboys Ring of Honor. Have to think back to who made all that happen, or one of the big cogs in that whole situation. Emmitt Smith. Emmitt Smith comes to mind first, who wore it best. 3 Super Bowl rings, leading rusher of all time. Gonna have to say Emmitt Smith.
Yeah, Emmitt Smith is hard to argue. Oddly enough, one of my favorite basketball players come to my mind first when I think of number 22. The sharpshooter from the Philadelphia 76ers, Mr. Andrew Toney. Like, everybody was all in rage, obviously, for good reason, about Dr. Julius Erving and Moses Malone. But boy, when they kicked it out to Andrew Toney and out from just outside the elbow, that jumper was darn near deadly. It was darn near perfect every time. So Andrew Toney was one of my favorite players early in the NBA. He actually come to my mind first, but I mean, I can't argue. Emmitt Smith said, if I didn't answer this correctly, Emmitt Smith would tell me, go do your research, go do your study. That was hysterical, fans. It was a great moment with Emmitt Smith. He's been super cool. Met him a few different times, but that was one of the better moments that I had with Emmitt Smith. The number 67. Again, a different number. Not a lot of guys come to your mind, but when you think of the number 67, who comes to your mind first?
Gotta reach the 305, Cam. The center for the Miami Dolphins, Dwight Stevenson, perhaps one of the greatest to ever do it, and spent a lot of time protecting our guys. So,
yeah, he Stevenson or Reggie McKenzie, another guy that comes to my mind. But Stevenson was a longtime Dolphins center and definitely in the Hall of Fame. So about that peace treaty real quick before we get to a recap in the NFL, that was definitely something that happened that was interesting this week. Obviously it's well overdue. Jimmy Johnson being inducted into the Ring of Honor and Cowboys. I mean that's well overdue, right? I mean it's not even, it's so far overdue. Jimmy Johnson should boycott the event. He won't because you actually, when it was announced, you actually saw what it meant to him. Him sitting with Jerry in the suite up there, telling you that it actually meant a lot. But that's Jerry. I mean, Jimmy should actually boycott the event. And just, it's like, Jerry, shame on you, Jerry. That should be a shame on you, Jerry moment. What do you think? What's your thoughts on that?
Cam, from an emotional standpoint, yeah, Jimmy should walk out just like he walked out, with his players in fatigues on Penn State. Like, hey, we're just not staying at your little corny ass dinner. We're out. And I'm all on board about it. Yeah. I was aware. Yeah, I knew all about it. Yeah, I didn't want to be there either. So that's on the emotional standpoint, because it took so long and it has been so disrespectful for Jimmy not to be in the Ring of Honor.
We're talking about 30 years later, dog. I mean,
craziness. But if you understand, these cats are getting older, right? And if you heard Jimmy Johnson's Hall of Fame speech, it was all about atonement for how terrible he had been as a human being for being so committed to football and neglecting his family all that time, and how he realizes how terrible that was. But once you're immortalized, man, you're immortalized. So you always want to be that. I mean, Jerry's the one that's been standing in the way of this. It's not accomplishments or accolades, right? So it's always been him.
He didn't need this. He didn't need
an ego thing, right? Just, I'm just always going to be abrasive about the fact that I have to give you more credit than I want to.
Yeah, he didn't need it, not in my opinion. I don't know. I think I can speak for you, but he didn't need Jerry's swipe of approval.
No approval or affirmation that you were a great coach.
And that's what
part of this you were, but at the same time, immortality is immortality, right? And you've been holding this over his head forever and ever. It's been very embarrassing. It's been, disrespectful, but hopefully if things, I'm still like
put things
cross my fingers and it goes off without a hitch, then we're done with this.
Yeah. So looking back at last week in NFL, obviously from Thursday to Monday night, we had some good football games, so good competitive football games. Parity, the NFL wanted parity, and parities what the NFL got. Again, all the way through. We saw the Broncos with their comeback win against the Vikings. I thought that was one of the, I have that listed as one of my most impressive wins over the weekend. The Browns were able to get a comeback win with your boy DTR beating the Steelers last week. And the Steelers. Are you ready to say they're a mess, or you're not quite ready to say they're a mess? And the Lions, I thought the Lions comeback win against the Bears. I know it was the Bears, but yet and still, when your quarterback does all he can to try to give the game away, and then when they have an opportunity to come back and win the game in the last minute of the game, you got to give them credit for doing so. And so I thought the Lions, that was an impressive win by the Lions. So the Lions, Broncos, and the Browns had the most impressive wins in my eyes. What do you think? Who were the most impressive wins in your eyes?
Oh man, the Detroit Lions, just because it it affected me in so many different ways. I mean, from a fantasy football perspective, emotionally, financially, they were able to cover the teaser spread. I mean, come on, man, 2 touchdowns in the last 4 minutes, and then when the Bears are driving down the field, man, Aiden Hudson coming off the end, getting the safety. I mean, they had to kick the ball out of bounds just to, preserve some semblance of respect. Yeah, the Lions.
Yeah, I thought that was a good win. I give them a lot of credit. Jared Goff looked horrible. If you had money on that game, I know you were nervous. I know you were screaming. Hopefully, you weren't at home and ruin your own TV. But yeah, you had.
Fortunately, I was just on Red Zone and didn't have the game up the entire time. It was just kind of like, what's going on here? So I was kind of like, eventually, hopefully, they'll get into the Red Zone, and when they do,
it was horrible interceptions. It was like those interceptions that he threw in his early Rams days. It was horrible. Like, Goff, where are you at? And then finally, they kind of just got things going, and the Bears did keep giving them an opportunity, but when you give an opportunity, they got the win. The Browns, with their comeback win, again, Robinson had a chance to come back and win his first game as a starter against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, that was a rock fight. Neither team has a quarterback. Their starting quarterback is out for the Browns, obviously, and Pickett. I mean, he just shows week after week that he can't get it done. And your guy Mike Tomlin did something that hasn't been done in 40 years, or excuse me, more than 40 years, in like 60 years for the Steelers, is fire a coach in season. Like they don't do that. That's not the Steelers. That's not the Steelers move. Do you think the firing of Matt Canada is going to help the Steelers out, or should Tomlin take the reins and be the offensive coach? What do you think?
Oh, I don't think Tomlin should take the reins and be the offensive coach, but I am okay with the fact that he fired Matt Canada. I mean, my goodness, that's a very winnable game. Very winnable. And the only reason you lost is because of the offense. And,
Well, because I mean, you want to blame the offense, but I mean, this has been the whole program for the last 3 months. I mean, like Tomlin doesn't have anything to do with this program, putting the people in place, calling plays. He don't have anything to say. Go for it on 4th down or something. He don't have nothing to do with it, huh?
No, I mean, he's cool with that. I mean, there's some input, but at the same time, I mean, much like my guy up in New York, he's a defensive minded coach, and everybody knows this. So
we're gonna talk about that. We might not that fiasco might not even make the show tonight. So that guy up in New York, I don't know how you still on that guy's jockstrap, and they actually stink. They actually doesn't. He's benching his player, by the way. If you didn't know, he's benching. Playing against the Dolphins, the leading team in the division, he's going to bench his quarterback and bring in somebody you've never heard of. I bet you never heard of dude who's coming on in off the bench.
Okay, well, hey, touche, Cam. I'm sorry that you're so riding with Brandon Staley after his temper tantrum. And the way that he's sunk that franchise with a franchise quarterback at the helm, possibly a Hall of Fame wide receiver in Keenan Allen. I mean, wow.
Are you questioning whether
it's kind of weird? It's kind of weird. You want to question the culture over in New York. You never question the culture over there in San Diego / Los Angeles.
I'm sorry. I explained weeks ago why I was off that bandwagon. I made it very clear why I was off that bandwagon weeks ago. You don't recall that?
Oh, no, you were still holding on. You were still holding on to some solace that perhaps they could right this ship and you can jump back on.
But you said something. You mentioned quite possibly a Hall of Famer in Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen hasn't done enough for you to be proven as a Hall of Famer. He hasn't done enough in your book?
Oh no, there's still some work to be done. Yeah.
What?
He's not a first ballot by any means. No. Goodness gracious. Where you been?
What more do you want from Keenan Allen?
Wow. What are his greatest accomplishments to this point? Made the playoffs one time.
I don't think there's. I think only 4 receivers have. If the stat. Hold on, let me get the stat right. I think only 4 receivers have caught more than 15 passes in a game, and he's done it twice. Like I don't know what.
So he's like Brandon Marshall type Hall of Famer. Is that what you're saying?
You're comparing Keenan Allen to Brandon Marshall? Is that what you're doing?
Wow, who's a better receiver? Who would you rather have?
Keenan Allen, most definitely.
Yeah.
Brandon Allen.
I thought you knew this football thing, man. In their prime, Brandon Marshall or Keenan Allen. You would take Keenan Allen over Brandon Marshall?
What has Brandon Marshall done?
Oh wow.
What has he done? Where's he at? I mean, I know you don't like everything don't hinge on numbers, but
I believe he caught 20 passes in the game. Has Keenan Allen ever done that?
Again, Keenan Allen. I just told you, only 4 receivers
twice, but he's never caught 20. Right?
I mean, come on, are you serious?
Man,
are you serious?
Are you serious? I would never ever in a million years take Keenan Allen over Brandon Marshall.
Fans, where do you guys stand on this? Keenan Allen or Brandon Allen? Please help this brother out.
Keenan Allen or Brandon Marshall?
Fans, where do you stand on this?
In their prime.
I mean, Keenan Allen is still in his prime. That's the thing about it. Keenan Allen is still in his prime, still playing
in his prime, and it's still not as good as Brandon Marshall was in his prime.
Are you ridiculous, please? You
even had him down there in Miami for a minute, man, and forgot all about it. That's fine.
He was there for 2 years, and what did they do? I don't think they made the playoffs when he was down there.
Oh man, how many times have the Chargers made the playoffs? That one time? And they went to Jacksonville and got smacked in their face and embarrassed. That's on the side of the road.
That was recently. They played against
a dejected prom date. Like wow.
Oh my goodness!
And now they're not even gonna make the playoffs this year, so we're already on to 2024.
Oh my goodness! I cannot believe you or you would go with this dude over this dude. I don't know where you are. I don't Cleveland. I don't. Okay,
Brandon Marshall's a better receiver, bro. In his prime.
Brandon Marshall's a better receiver than Keenan Allen. I mean, that's blasphemous right there. So man, games. So it's not a we don't really like to hinge on stats all day and night, but I mean this just we have to go to the stat book for this one, fans. We got to go to the stat book for this one. Games. Who's played more games?
Oh, Keenan Allen's played way more games.
Actually, Brandon Marshall played one more game. 136 for Keenan Allen. 179.
But Keenan Allen's still playing, so like you said, okay.
179. Receptions. Who has more receptions?
At this point, I mean, it's hard to say, Cam.
I mean, Brandon Marshall has 970 receptions to Keenan Allen's. He has 90 more receptions than Keenan Allen. What age are you? What age? Brandon Marshall has 12,351 yards receiving. Keenan Allen just eclipsed the 10,000 yard mark. So Brandon Marshall's is 200. Give me like
so 2 seasons. Okay.
Yeah, but that's what I want. Next, I'm gonna look at the age and how long they played. Receiving TDs 83 to 59. Brandon Marshall. Reception, rush yards. That's not important. That's not important. That's not.
Hey Ken, maybe you should mute the mic and just stop talking because it's not going well for you, and I still haven't heard of a 20 reception game. So yeah, do some work.
No,
couple years out.
I know who I would take. 21. So Keenan Allen's played 10 years. Brandon Marshall's played 13 years, 22 to 34. So he has 3 more seasons on him. So Keenan has 3 more seasons. We'll see how this finishes up. But as of now, as of this moment, Brandon Marshall's stats are better. I wouldn't have guessed that though. I would not have guessed that either. But I wouldn't. He's played.
What's Man, that? You already statted me to death. So no need to make excuses as to why
he played 40 more games. He played 40 more games than
you already took a moment opportunity to stat me to death and came up with nothing. So
he plays 40 more games. I had to see look at the comparison. That was not even a conversation.
Hey, man, Brandon Marshall.
Who would I pick? Brandon Marshall was a Hall of Famer. You act like Brandon Marshall is going to the Hall of Fame. Brandon Marshall will not get a Hall of Fame vote. Brandon Marshall will not get a Hall of Fame vote.
I was being facetious when I said Keenan Allen was going to the Hall of Fame. Keenan Allen's like going to the Hall of Fame.
You're ridiculous. Keenan Allen absolutely would be. He's much better route runner.
He doesn't even have better numbers than Brandon Marshall. And you say Brandon Marshall's not going. So how is Keenan Allen going?
He's going to finish with he got through. Brandon Marshall had 3 years on.
All right, man. Holler back at me, man, when that happens, man. All that, man. Wow.
I can't believe you say that.
All that projection 3 and 4 and 5 years down the road. Yeah, man. We can stop that right now.
Oh my goodness. I can't. Okay, that's clearly something that we disagree on. What was your worst loss of the weekend?
Worst loss is by far the Seattle Seahawks losing to the Los Angeles Rams. Couldn't be a worse loss.
I mean, that's a division rival.
Oh,
they always play him tough. Man.
With the schedule of San Francisco and Dallas and Philadelphia and San Francisco coming up, and you can beat the Rams.
You can't look ahead. You can't look ahead. You know, you got to deal with Puka. You got to deal with Puka. You got to deal with Stafford. You got to deal with Sean McVay.
They didn't take care of business. It's by far the worst loss of the week.
Cleveland. I didn't even bother to text you this. I didn't even bother to text you when I saw this. But they still can't block. They still can't block my man. Aaron Donald. They still can't block him.
They've never, 10 years later, they still can't block Aaron Donald.
Yeah. Can't block him. And he's still wrecking Abbott. And, almost tore up Gino's elbow. Is Gino going to play tomorrow night?
It's supposed to. It's going to hurt. It's going to be tender.
According to you, they might well roll with Drew Lock. I mean, the way you were talking, the way you were talking last week, you was like, "Hey, I don't know. Is Drew Lock healthy? I mean, is it? I don't know.
I didn't say roll with Drew Lock. I said I was unhappy.
You want Gino in the game? Is that you're taking that back on Drew Lock?
I was unhappy.
Last week, is Drew healthy? I mean, what did he look like in practice? Now all of a sudden you're like, oh no, Drew, come sit next to me. I figured you'd say that. That's interesting. I mean, the Bears lost, giving up, allowing the Lions to score twice in 3 minutes was kind of ridiculous. The Vikings losing to the Broncos. I mean, I don't want to say they had that game in wraps. That's not what I want to say, but they were pretty. They were in control of that game until they were in control of that game for a large part of the game until your boy Russell start cooking again. How'd that call go with Sierra? Did you guys talk to Sierra? I mean,
yeah.
Would you see anything different to say this week, or she's like,
I'm passing back and forth. Let's go.
So I'm going. I can't hear you. I lost you.
No, I said no. We texting back and forth. It's cool. I'm happy for Russ's success right now. Like I said, hey man, wish you could. Can you hear me?
I can't hear you. Where you go? I can't hear you.
Oh, I haven't done anything.
I can't hear you. I don't know what happened. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah.
We lost you, sir. We lost you. We lost you. We lost you. Try to log off and come back on. We lost you. Can't hear you. Sorry about that, fans. But what do you guys think? What do you guys think? You heard just a little brief debate there. Keaton Allen versus Brandon Marshall. Do you guys have a favorite? Do you have a pick in that race? That's pretty interesting how that went down. Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine. Can you hear me?
Man, I can't hear you. Can you hear me? Speak to me. I can't hear you. You can hear me? I cannot hear you though. Speak.
Yeah, I can hear you. I just logged out and came back in. You still can't hear me? No.
I start talking about Brandon Marshall and Keenan Allen better than Brandon Marshall, and all of a sudden he goes mute on me, fan. I don't know what the deal is. He goes
Now
mute on me
because
he didn't like what I had to say.
You're echoing.
Lashton, I don't know what that means. Get in the chat. Get in the chat, man. Get in the chat. Get in the chat, because I can't hear you. Bad radio, man. I can't hear you, sir. Yo. Sorry about that. I'm echoing. Yeah, I was echoing. Yeah, that's because I'm messing with the mic, but I still can't hear you though. Can you hear the laughing at all? I cannot hear you. I don't know why I can't hear you. Yeah, I don't hear you at all. Let me try. Man, I don't want to take you. I don't want to plug everything. All right, hold tight, fans. Fans, stick with us. I'm sorry about this. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, sir? Cleavon. Can you hear me?
Yes.
You got to speak, man. You got to speak.
I'm saying yes. I am in the chat.
Though. You speak.
I can hear you, Cameron. You can't hear me. I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I don't know, but I can't hear you, Cleveland. You gotta speak. I don't know what's going on. So okay, let's do the show without the fancy stuff. All right, bare bones. I can hear you now. What happened? Speak, Cleveland. I heard you. Can you talk? Talk.
Yes, I can hear you. I'm talking to you. You can't hear me.
I can hear you now, though. I can hear you now.
You can hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, well, cool.
Yeah, I don't know what.
I didn't
all of a sudden,
different.
I start talking Brandon Marshall, and all of a sudden, you can't hear me. I started talking about
getting all irate and irritated with me because you can't hear me. Glad you can hear me now.
I mean, I don't know what's happening over there. All right, where was we? You talking about Geno Smith? You talking about Geno Smith, huh? How all of a sudden you like Geno? All of a sudden you want to ride with Geno this week?
No, I don't like Geno. That's the problem. That's the problem with the Seahawks.
But you're gonna ride with Geno over Drew Lock this week for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, there is no better alternative. I mean, we have to ride the season out with what we have.
Okay. The Eagles squeaked by KC on Monday Night Football. What did the Eagles lose that? Did the KC lose that game or the Eagles win that game? How'd you see that go? How'd you see that game?
KC lost that game. Massive amounts of drop passes from everybody. No one player in particular. The offense as a whole, they should be ashamed of themselves.
Was that a sign of them missing Eric Bieniemy with their lack of scoring ability in the second half of games?
Perhaps a little bit, but Andy Reid has got quite a proven track record of some pretty explosive offenses. So, I mean, I don't know if it's all the subtraction of Eric Bieniemy that's, caused this lack of offensive output, but clearly it's something. I like to think it's more of, the Cam issue, which is you always think that you can just, plug and play and that your coaching and your style and your scheme is enough. But if you don't have the talent, if you lose Tyreek Hills and you lose, top-notch receivers over and over again, it's hard to just replace those with just some guy.
I mean, Kelsey dropped some passes.
Kelsey dropped some passes. Scaling dropped some passes. Rice dropped some passes. Everybody dropped passes.
But these passes, Cleveland, were right here. They were hitting the player right there.
And it wasn't one person, so you can't just point the finger at the one guy. They all dropped lots of passes.
Did that game prove? So we agree. I agree that KC lost that game more than Philly won the game. Philly's a good team. I have Philly going to the Super Bowl at the beginning of the season. We'll talk about why my Super Bowl pick changed a little later, but I had Philly going to the Super Bowl and winning the Super Bowl at the beginning of the season. Initially I picked a Super Bowl rematch, but I'll explain to you why that's been altered during the course of the season. So I think Philly's a good team. I say that to say I think Philly is a good team. Philly has a run the ball, stop the run. Make a few big plays. Their one big play was to Smith down the sideline after they had run a couple bubble screens that was actually driving me bananas. Then I think they hit him with 3 in a row, and then boom, all of a sudden they went down. They went deep to Smith, and that was the one big play where it got them down to the 1 yard line. Then they pushed it in the end zone. So their style of play. Their style of play has been consistent from the beginning of last season to their win on Monday night. So, you have to – it is what it is. Run the ball, stop the run, make a few big plays, and then we do our thing. But KC just didn't capitalize on their opportunities. I think Monday night proved to – I didn't need Monday night to prove this to me. But it kind of solidified the thought for me that Patrick Mahomes is quite possibly the best quarterback to ever play football or play in the NFL. Again, what he's doing when Pacheco was he got some good runs. So I can't say he didn't have no running game. Pacheco runs the ball kind of sporadically. I'm sure he finished the game with around 70, 80 yards rushing. With some big gainers, and he runs hard. I like that. But these receivers he has out there, including Kelsey, I mean, some of these guys it's putrid. It's putrid. And it's not people said, I've heard this week, well, Tom Brady has done the same thing. Tom Brady has, what kind of receivers did Tom Brady have to play with? And my argument to that was at least he played with those guys. Tom Brady did. At least they weren't new guys coming in off the bench. So it was a little kind of a different situation. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I think people always forget the part where Tom Brady also did play with Randy Moss for.
Well, that was 1 year. I mean, that was 1 year. So when
It
you
wasn't
think
just
of
the
it,
1 year, and the 1 year he played with him, it's not even 1 year. It was more than 1 year, but his first season caught 20 touchdowns, was the highest scoring offense in the history of football, and they went 16-0 through the regular season.
they didn't win the Super Bowl that year.
No, they didn't.
So when you think of Tom Brady, you think of the season that he won the Super Bowl. They didn't win the Super Bowl that year. So
that wasn't the question that you asked. The question was, did Tom Brady ever play with a receiver? And the answer is, yeah, he played with Randy Moss.
But 2 years out of 20, Cleveland, I mean, that's less than 10% of the time that he had.
So if the question is who's a better quarterback, Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady, that's a hard question.
What was brought up
the
in
premise
comparison
was that Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback of all time.
Yes.
Already.
Yes.
And I you know how I feel about that. What would be my answer? Having done the show with me this long.
I mean,
we've had this Terrell Davis conversation before.
You're a little biased.
What would be my argument?
You're a little biased because Tom Brady played longer. He has more rings. That was why you would be more biased.
It would be longevity and extensive body of work. Is where you were going with that.
Yeah, because so you
can't. Continues to do that
again.
Now he's five Super Bowls behind.
Again, just like with the Brandon Marshall, Keenan Allen conversation, you don't have the ability to look forward. You don't have the vision to look into the future. And
I don't project. Yeah, I don't. Especially in the NFL. Yeah, I can't. Of all sports,
you don't have the ability to project.
Of all sports, projecting into the future in football. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying that's what that identified fans. If you didn't know that,
really funny fans. I'm gonna tell a quick story about that projecting into the future thing that Cam's talking about. There's a show on television. It's still on television. It's called The Housewives of Atlanta. Okay. I remember the first season, one of the couples on that show was a girl named Lisa Wu.
I didn't know you was a
Ratchet linebacker. No, first season. And a linebacker.
I didn't know you watched Ratchet TV.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You back in the day.
Back in the day, the show's still on. You said this show's still on. You're like, you watch a new season this year.
Man, stay with me. One of the couples on that show was a realtor named Lisa Wu, used to be married to Keith Sweat, and her new husband was a linebacker that just signed a very lucrative contract with the Atlanta Falcons after leaving the Baltimore Ravens, a cat named Ed Hartwell. And Ed Hartwell used to play outside linebacker next to Ray Lewis. Put up phenomenal numbers for 2 years. They projected that in Atlanta. Didn't work out. Lisa Wu left him. They left the show. And it was all because they were trying to project some things that were going to happen in the NFL that just never happened. You can't project that far into the future.
You went to Housewives of Atlanta to talk about projections in the NFL?
Yeah.
Fans, you gotta love this dude. You gotta
Ed
love
Hartwell.
this dude.
Ed Hartwell. Ask him. Ask him about projecting 2-3 years into the future.
Okay, man. So one thing I can project, and again, I'm projecting into the future. Somehow I was able to look at last season when the kid was 5-1, 6-1, 7-1. I'm projecting Cleveland. This is a good quarterback. And you didn't want to give the kid no credit. Start the season off 3-0, 4-0, 5-0. Cleveland, do you want to give this kid any credit now? Let's project and let's look into the future to see that this is a quality quarterback. Cleveland, what do you think of Brock Purdy today?
Cam, I've already said I had to stand down. I had to stand down a few weeks ago, very reluctantly so, but I stand by my premise. The San Francisco 49ers will not represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. I got two elbows. I got two elbows on it.
And that right there is why I had to change my Super Bowl prediction. And I predicted again with the ability, with the foresight, the ability to project into the season, to project the future. I predicted there would be a Super Bowl rematch. That's what I predicted, Cleveland. Did I or did I not?
You did.
But I was forced, fans. I was forced because of somebody's hard-headedness. I was forced and coerced into making a bet that the San Francisco 49ers will be representing the NFC in the Super Bowl. And look at him smiling like he got me right there. He's smiling like he got me right there. Again, it's going to be a tough championship game. It's going to be a tough because on one hand, I projected back in August who was going to be in the Super Bowl. And I was forced in October to amend my bet because somebody wants to be so hard-headed and not give Brock Purdy any credit for what he's doing, even though he's become the first quarterback ever in San Francisco 49er history to have a perfect rating in an NFL game. I mean, I don't know, Cleveland, if you recall who played for San Francisco, if you recall who played quarterback for San Francisco, I just mentioned one guy. Who plays quarterback for San Francisco, and by the name of Steve Young. He happens to wear a gold jacket. You don't have to project that. You don't have to look into the future. He actually has a gold jacket hanging up in his closet. That's Steve Young. Maybe you might have known, you might have heard of the other guy who has four of them things. You might have heard of the other guy who also has a gold jacket and looks into the Hall of Fame. He's doing now beer commercials now. Like the kid laughed. He said, like, what did you do? Pops. And the dude says, yeah, I played quarterback in the NFL. He thinks he was a accountant or something. That guy, I don't know if you heard of the guy by Joe Montana. Joe Cool, some people call him. I don't know if you heard of that guy. Okay, undefeated in Super Bowl history. I don't know if you're familiar with his resume, but he has never had a perfect game in the NFL. Okay, but Brock Purdy did this on Sunday. Okay, Steve Young, that first guy I was talking about with the gold jacket, also said the 49ers have found their franchise quarterback. Yet Cleveland refuses to understand that. Cleveland, do you want to give Brock Purdy any credit today? Any credit today? Do you want to give Brock Purdy any credit today for the way they smacked around your Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
So, Cameron, if those other two aforementioned quarterbacks never did what you're talking about and they have accounted for 5 Super Bowls, what does that tell you about that statistic? That it's meaningless, right? Because Brock Purdy's never been to a Super Bowl. You're talking about 2 quarterbacks that have been to 5.
Brock Purdy's been playing 2 years in the NFL.
All right, well, holler back at me when he gets to the Super Bowl because I got 2 elbows since he's not going this year. Guess we're on to 2024.
So you want to say what you just said doesn't make sense. The 2 guys I'm talking about have 5 Super Bowls between them. Brock Purdy's been in the league for 5 minutes.
So that having a perfect game that one time at band camp, yeah, who cares, man? Week 10 of the 2023 season, I mean, who cares? What does that even mean? It doesn't mean anything. Because the other 2 quarterbacks that have won 5 Super Bowls between them never did it. So how can that be a benchmark for anything?
It's showing you that those Super Bowl winners, the guys
showing you that sometimes the stats can distort greatness. And this is one of those times because Brock Purdy's not a great quarterback. And you just named 2 Hall of Famers. And you try to put Brock Purdy out of 2 Hall of Famers that have 5 Super Bowls between them. And Brock Purdy's not going to get the Super Bowl this year. I won't project into the future, but he's not going to get the Super Bowl this year.
Well, we've proven you can't project anything. You can't. You don't have any vision. We've proved that's been already proven in this episode now. But what will they do tomorrow? We're going to get to your prediction. What will Brock Purdy do tomorrow? We're going to find out what you think of Brock Purdy is going to do tomorrow. Your thoughts on Russell Wilson? bringing the Broncos back again. I mean, what was the inside talk with you and Sierra? I mean, again, what did she have any? I mean, did she like Seattle at least during the wintertime? Did she think was a fresh air or something that she enjoyed? And did she give you any dash of hope that they might be interested in heading back to the Northwest?
I mean, she liked Seattle more so in the summers. Lots of lakes and pond streams. Majestic beauty everywhere that you look. Moderate winters, so she liked that part of it. It was what it was, but they moved on, and that's fine. But wish them well, and hope everything's good.
Dolphins welcomed the Raiders. Raiders actually went to Miami to play the AFC East leading Dolphins. Have you seen enough from Antonio Pierce to, they only lost by 7 points to the AFC East leading Dolphins, I might add. They only lost by 7 points. Is that enough, do you think, to hire Antonio Pierce as the head coach?
Not a large enough sample size to hire him as the head coach, no.
2 wins and a tough loss, no? So you're gonna wait for him to go 5-1 in these last games, and then look for somebody else.
5-1, we're having a completely different conversation. It would start with a win over the Chiefs this weekend. So hey, man, well, perhaps have this conversation a little bit later.
So C.J. Stroud wins again. I mean, too bad we can't project C.J. Stroud as a rookie of the year or anything like that because you can't project anything.
Yeah, I see you're trying to twist my words around, and point them back at me as if I didn't already tell you C.J. Stroud was the truth in April, but that's okay. Yeah. Sometimes trying to project a little bit too far into the future is hard, but this one's not hard. This is probably the best rookie quarterback that's ever been.
That's ever been?
I'm so sorry. Top 3 all time? He's already passed your dude, that guy over in Indianapolis that had a pretty good 3 or 4 year career.
Oh wow! What a slap in the face that was.
He's already passed him up. So I think it's just Golden Arm and who else?
Justin Herbert had a pretty good rookie year. I don't know.
Did he?
You didn't probably
remember kind of numbers. I mean, C.J. Stroud might get his team into the playoffs in his first year. Something Justin Herbert never did.
Not as a rookie. No, he didn't.
No, he sure didn't. And only once in a little bit further down the road, and that was just that one time. So,
the Carolina Panthers got smacked by the Cowboys. Mm-hmm. Deron Bland gets another pick 6, one more, and he sets a record. Is that surprising? Are you surprised by that? He has 4 right now. He gets one more. That'll be more than anybody has in history. Is that surprising to you?
Hell yeah. Pick 6s are not easy to come by any stretch of the imagination. At 5, that would be good Lord. Why do you keep throwing that way? Usually after you get 3 or 4, okay. I mean,
did you see the one he had on? Did you see the one he had on Sunday?
Yes.
Did you? Some of that was the receiver's fault.
A lot of those are going to be the receiver's fault. I mean, some of them will be batted passes, some of them be whatever, man. But
it keeps happening. So, but that was a tremendous play. But some of that was on the receiver. But it was a great dive and catch and get up and nobody touched me. I'm going to the house. That was pretty impressive. Although if the receiver, instead of running upfield, kind of come back to, they always tell receiver to come back to the ball. The receiver didn't come back to the ball. He went upfield and, he got, Bland was able to just drop in and said, I'll take it and I'll go the other way. Pretty impressive. Parsons, Podcast Parsons. I don't know if you heard what he had to say this week. This dude is something else. This actually, it was kind of comical, but more fair assessment of what's going on in the NFL. He was asked, is he worried about the Commanders and what they bring to the table? Did you hear what he said?
No.
He said the Commanders, man, they're a good football team. They're kind of like the Chargers. The ball just doesn't bounce right for them. that was kind of cold, man.
Cold.
It was truth. There's some truth in what he was saying.
Brutal honesty.
Yeah. Come on, dog. Come on, dog. They said the ball just doesn't bounce right for them. I mean, that was funny, man, because there was a lot of
that's it in a nutshell, right? And it's too honest. It's a little bit too raw, but I want to circle back. I want to circle back, Cam.
Oh boy,
I need to circle back,
oh,
and this is a serious question because I was it's actually a 2-part question. So I'm gonna start with the first part. The first part is NFL, and the second part is NBA. Because I heard this and I couldn't believe it that actually really happened. The football part of this. If you have the number 1 pick and you draft Bryce Young, and the number 2 pick is CJ Stroud, where do you start cutting heads off? Because that error was so egregious and changes the fortunes of your franchise for 5 to 7 years. You made a 5 to 7 year mistake, clearly. Do you start at the GM and work your way down? Do you start at the VP? Because somebody has to be accountable. You can't just say like, oh man, we just messed up on that. You had months and months and months and months and months to make this decision. But you were so adamant about the other guy, and you were so wrong. How can I trust you?
First of all, to if we're looking at just those two, just those.
This is an example of when that happens, but this is the most recent example.
Right. It
happens all the time. I mean,
the Chargers draft Quentin Johnson and they left Zay Flowers on the books.
That's way down. That's way down.
How is it way different?
No one had a pick before you. You had everyone to pick, and you decided that this person was the absolute best person in all of college football to draft, and you were this far off.
So
you can't come into the office and be like, "Hey man, what happened, bro?" And you can't stab me to death. You can't talk about it.
I can tell you that the Carolina Panthers stink. Their offensive line sucks.
That's not the question I asked you. I said, where at the top does it start? Because someone has to answer.
I mean, yeah, is it the GM? Is it the head scout? Who makes the final call?
That's the question that I'm asking.
Is it the head coach? Who? It's
that
whoever
is the
makes
question
the final.
that I'm asking you.
I'm
where
saying
does it start?
You have to. Whoever's making did the GM say, okay, it's all in your hands. You're the decision maker, or does the GM say, here, this is what my intelligence says to me, and here's what our scouts say. Who's making that final call is what I'm saying to you. Is it the head coach? Is it the scouts that say it will? You can't probably blame the scouts, but it has to be the head coach or the GM. Who's actually is making that final call? It's one of those two guys. Because does the GM? You can blame the GM, but does the GM put all authority in the coach's hands? And that the coaches, his offensive coaches, offensive coordinator, the quarterback coach?
No GM does. There's only two. One's in New England and one's in Seattle. No other coaches that involved in making the draft picks. Maybe.
Well, if you're saying, well, again, talking.
And that didn't happen in Houston or Carolina, so that's not even an argument.
Well, so Cleveland, I've had this exact conversation with Tom Telesco, the general manager of the Los Angeles Chargers.
Yeah.
Like when you're making a decision, whose decision does it go on? Is it, I'm talking to him about a running back. Like you guys need a running back. And instead of drafting Spiller, I'm surprised you guys drafted Spiller. Like why wouldn't you get You have Austin Eckler. Why wouldn't you get kind of a bulldog, a big back, a Najee Harris, somebody to complement?
Okay, so you're dancing around this.
No, I'm telling you the conversation I had with the NFL general manager. I've had that conversation, and what he told to me is, well, when we look at our roster, this is what we decided would be better. Brandon Staley handles the defense, so he wasn't involved with the offensive.
That's cool when you're drafting in the mid-teens. I said you had the number 1 pick in the draft and missed this dramatically bad. Where does this start? Someone has to be accountable. It can't just be, oh, my bad, homie.
No,
I thought Carson was going to be that dude. No,
you're not listening. You're not listening. Is it how does the GM work? How does the GM and the head coach work? How does that work? The owner's not scouting. The owner's not going to. Rarely does the owner go to Indianapolis for the scouting combine or the Senior Bowl Mobile for the Senior Bowl. Rarely does the owner. That's the GM and the head coach. So the GM and the head coach, one of the two, are making that call. Does the GM put it all on the head coach? Does the head coach say, is it a collective effort? That's what Tom Teleko is telling me, that this was a collective effort. Because Brandon Staley coaches the defense, he's selecting the defensive players. But they're selecting the offensive players. He getting feedback on the offensive player. This is what Tom Telesco told me. The current general manager of the Los Angeles Chargers. Again, they haven't been to the playoffs. They haven't won a Super Bowl, so you put credence into what that is. But that's what he told to me. I had this exact conversation with him. So again, in Carolina, it was our guy, the quarterback whisperer, Frank Reich, right? He's a Frank Reich, correct? Came from Indianapolis to go head coach Carolina Panthers. They drafted this guy. Frank Reich identified that guy as the next guy. And so you want to blame somebody, it's going to be Frank Reich. But then at the beginning of the season, I think we talked about this. Frank Reich was in Indianapolis, and he went down the line with Carson Wentz, Matt Ryan. Didn't they call up Phillip Rivers to spend some time up there?
Okay, so to answer your question, it would be the GM and then the coach as well when this type of thing happens.
Yeah, probably, but I would lean in that Carolina Panthers situation. I'm thinking that's Frank Reich, because I'm thinking the GM, him having experience with quarterbacks. They hired Frank Reich as a new head coach for the team. They hired him, and they probably said, Frank Reich, who do you want? They said, Frank, who do you want? And Frank said, I want that guy, Bryce.
Okay,
he's the next guy.
Okay.
So more than likely in that situation is going to be the head coach. What's your NBA scenario?
I heard this yesterday or the day before. Couldn't believe it. It was gross and disgusting. There was a draft where the number 1 pick was Andrew Wiggins, the number 2 pick was Jabari Parker, and the number 3 pick was Joel Embiid. Does that entire organization get fired if that's really 1 and 2? The team that drafted 1 and 2, or just the 1, or just the 2, or because this is just that far off. The only reason Joe Dumars didn't get fired when he drafted what's the difference? Serbia?
Yeah, I know you're talking about Darko.
Because it was Joe Dumars and he was doing it in Detroit. If he would have done that anywhere else, it's like, wow.
Yeah. Well, he got fired a couple years. He got fired a couple years later.
Darko.
And everybody was like,
Darko.
I said that. Darko, yeah.
You cannot come to me with you drafted that guy that averages 9 points and passed on the number 9 score in the history of basketball. Who takes the blame for that?
Yeah.
This one, there was 2 teams that, I guess, no, because in that draft, the number 1 pick was the number 1 pick. So it was LeBron. So, yeah. So this is the number 2 pick. And Joe D, you didn't draft Dwayne Wade or Chris Bosh either. How do you keep your job? Well, because I brought you 2 championships. Okay, so that's why you have blinders on, because nowhere else would that ever have happened. Right?
Yeah, I mean, Carmelo was the right guy for that pick.
You missed on 3, 4, and 5 drafting 2, and all those guys are Hall of Famers. You have to lose your job for that, right? So again, I go, does 1 and 2 lose their job for not drafting Joel Embiid, or just 1?
But Joel Embiid had injury problems coming out of college.
There are extenuating circumstances.
He wasn't. I mean, he wasn't Akeem coming out.
He did miss 2 years. He missed his first 2 years.
Yeah.
So you get a pass on that,
huh?
So you get a pass on that then.
I mean, that was part of the process. I mean, you can't again.
So
Joel Embiid.
You don't blame. I mean.
You're looking at Joel Embiid right now, 7 years into his career.
So here's where I ask this. So you take another example. Those guys that drafted Greg Oden instead of Kevin Durant, they all lost their jobs.
Well, I mean, yeah, Greg Oden played 20 games.
But I'm just saying, it's the same thing. Like
it's not the same thing. It's not the same thing.
Absolutely is because the difference in like. You missed so badly that the franchise is forever different.
It's a bad miss, yes. But Joel Embiid, you're looking at Joel Embiid today, at thinking today's Joel. This is what your draft. This is what they passed up on. But Joel Embiid wasn't that coming out of Kansas. He wasn't that.
Okay. So you're not.
He was 7 foot. He was.
Okay.
He had potential, sure. He was a 7-footer that had skills.
Because of his shortcomings, you're coming out of college, you're okay with missing that badly.
For Andrew Wiggins
because the Portland guys were like, wow, this is crazy. You missed that badly. You're out.
Well, yeah. I mean, you're talking
Joel Embiid. When CJ Stroud becomes the second greatest rookie quarterback in the history of football, you guys got to come in and explain what happened here, right?
Yeah, that's a bad.
Do you have an excuse or explanation that's good enough to keep your job when the difference is this much?
Bryce Young, we weren't expecting to be good this year.
Man,
our team is bad.
Wow,
our team is
wow,
terrible.
You already got the speech lined up.
I mean, hey, yeah, they better be thinking about it. Frank Reich better be thinking about what the explanation is, because at the end of the season, you're damn right, he's gonna have to explain it. And so, yes, he better have that conversation. He better have that conversation hemmed up. So yeah.
So it's basically
Embiid wasn't Embiid. You're looking at Embiid today, that you're the MVP of the league, Embiid, and thinking, oh, you guys passed up on him.
Well, that was the basketball example.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's
the football example is much more pertinent because the organization had the number 1 pick and missed. I mean, you can
argument.
Those other two had the picks, but obviously you're saying Embiid was a little bit of a question mark. But this was, hey man, no.
Yeah, the argument for Frank Reich is Bryce Young still has something. We're not done with this kid. That's going to be his argument, because whatever he saw in there is he's still believing in there. Now Bryce Young just can't get it done, and if they go 1-15, he needs to go on a 3 or 4 game winning streak to give them guys some confidence in Bryce Young. But if he can't do that, I mean, you might be right all this time. He's way better. But some who in the text chat who said it, they just look different when they don't have all-star players running up and down the sidelines.
Oh yeah, no, we talk about this all the time. I mean, that's the Matt Leinart syndrome. Like, yeah, you look amazing behind 3 offensive tackles that are going to get drafted in the first round and 2 wide receivers and 2 running backs. You look amazing. And you have 5 seconds for the plays to open up. That's great. But you already knew all that. And you had all the tape. You had all the time to assess. and you're this far off. It's not like, ooh, they're both, it's neck and neck to see who's the best quarterback coming out of this draft now.
So the Panthers are terrible. They don't have an offensive line. They don't have a run game. Their
the Houston Texans were good before they had C.J. Stroud. They were the second worst team in the league.
They were. I wouldn't be as quick to say that was. I'm holding out hope that Bryce. This is not. We haven't seen the best of Bryce Young. I'm kind of holding out hope that we haven't.
And on top of the fact, the Carolina Panthers were not even as bad as the Houston Texans because they traded up to get the pick.
Yeah, you putting a lot of heat on Frank Reich. I know that for sure.
I'm just like sometimes it's like, okay, it's close. I mean, we're not sure. Maybe in a couple of years we'll figure this out now.
I mean, that's
12. That team potentially could be in the playoffs, and that team is going to be the worst team in the league and traded their number one pick in the draft this year to get you.
Yeah. We'll see how it works out. But talking about somebody's seat who's getting hot is
Brad Staley.
Man, Cleveland. After that uncharacteristic rant that you heard his post-game press conference. When this is the third week in a row that the dude asked him, I don't know who that is. I've been trying to find out who that is who asked the question. Are you thinking about giving up your play calling duties on defense? Brandon Staley went off. No, I'm not. And I've told you we have confidence in. I don't know how you continue with the same I have confidence stuff in what we're doing. And again, dog, you keep. Again, Cleveland, we did it. What was the episode, the new episode that your guy, CJ Stroud, introduced to the show? What was the new episode?
I was wrong.
We did that 2 weeks ago. Cleveland. Along with it, one of the guys I was wrong about, who I was excited about.
Oh, man.
You forgot about that.
Don't do it.
I told you I was wrong about Jordan Love. I told you he looks like
I thought you were gonna go to B. Staley. Okay.
Again, Cleveland, I don't know why.
You're talking about Jordan Love, but Jordan Love doesn't want a game. Jordan Love is beating you Chargers.
Hold on, fans. Let me play this. And again, I don't know if I mentioned this to you, Tyler, before, but I think they asked too much of Derwin James. Not that he can't play 15 all 11 positions on the defense, but they just ask him to play too many positions. The guys don't get no continuity, and they're always like, where's he going to be this time? Where's he going to be in this play? I think that causes confusion within the entire defense. I'd love to ask Brandon. Maybe you could ask that question. Do you ask too much of this kid? Do you ask too much of Derwin James? Not saying that he can't play the position, but it just puts the rest of the defense in precarious situations because maybe they're not familiar everywhere he's going to be on the sideline or on the field. But with Derwin James, they allowed my man Tyreek Hill to go for 11 catches, 215 yards. That was ridiculous. Like what? I'm lost, and I found my way to the door
in a season opener.
I'm finding I'm looking for the door on the Staley train. I'm looking for the exit route because I just don't understand how you let this happen. This is Brandon Staley. I mean, I've been defending this guy, but if your defense continuously gives up points, you got Herbert doing. And I'm going to talk to you about Herbert as well. You got Herbert doing what he's doing, putting up 30 points a game, and your defense can't slow anybody down. Like, and you're supposed to be the defensive coach. Like, what's going on here? Every week you can't say, well, we have to play it better. We have to play it better. We didn't match up with our assignments. Well, now something's going wrong. If you're not able to match up your assignments week in and week out, either the teaching is not getting done properly or the guys aren't accepting it. Either way, that's the teacher's problem. If our grades, if we're not getting passing grades, either teacher's not teaching it or we're not grasping the concept, right? And that fans, if you remember, if Cleveland, if you recall, that was a little bit of why I was out on Brandon Staley. That was over a month ago. So you try to pair me with Brandon Staley. I was out a month ago. Okay, weeks ago I was out on Brandon Staley.
Okay.
So I mentioned I was when I said I was wrong. I was wrong about Jordan Love.
Yeah.
No, slow down. Listen. I said I was wrong when we introduced the episode. I was wrong on the running back from Pittsburgh Steelers, and Jordan Love was one. Jordan Love was that guy who looked so good in preseason games that he's not getting it done on the field. We're in week 10, and Jordan Love still hasn't got it done. Against the Chargers, Jordan Love had the most yards he passed for in all season long, over 300 yards. That's the first time a quarterback for the Green Bay Packers has passed for over 300 yards since 2021. So over a couple of years now, Jordan Love was able to do against the Chargers that no other quarterback was able to do against anybody else they played in over 2 years. And again, against the Chargers, he just made it look easy. He looked like the next coming. I don't know if you saw that game, but he looked like the next coming. Driving down the field in the fourth quarter, he completes a 45-yard pass for the touchdown, for the go-ahead touchdown, and leaves the Chargers and Herbert like flustered and flummoxed. Kind of what do they do to come back? And it just put them in a tough situation where they get a sack, another drop ball, or a sack. Excuse me. The drop ball that Quentin Johnson had earlier, that was before. Then after he dropped the ball, they punted. Then Jordan Love went down to win the game. So their Chargers defense is again Staley giving up more yards, and then he has the nerve to come up after the post-game press conference and get on the reporter for asking, are you still going to you're not going to give up the defensive calling job? Because your defense is doing the same shit. They're giving up big yardage every week. Every week, a player is having a PR, a personal record playing against your team. And you don't think anything's going bad? Yes. Cleveland, this is the first time I actually was looking on Twitter all Monday looking for them to say Brandon Staley has been relieved of his duties. Kellen Moore has been elevated to head coach. I don't even think Kellen Moore is that's going to be a big difference. I don't know. I don't know Kellen Moore at all, but I don't know that Kellen Moore is going to be an upgrade from Brandon Staley. I don't know that he has an offensive background, so I know he has control of the offense. So I don't know. I just don't feel comfortable with that moving forward. So go ahead and say what you're going to say. The Chargers was an embarrassing loss for the Chargers. I could have put that as one of my worst losses, but it's come to be expected of the Chargers now to lose games like this.
Well, Cam, I think it's given your speech right there, I think it's time to move on. I don't think really there's anything more to talk about with the Los Angeles Chargers. They're not going to make the playoffs, and you completely jump off ship. So yeah, man, they're just kind of like an afterthought at this point.
I mean, sadly they are. I mean, they're a talented team. Joey Bosa now goes on IR with foot problem. So yeah, it's a talented team. They're just being miscoached. I truly was looking for Staley to be replaced. I thought he was certainly going to be replaced this week, but that's not like the Spanos that's not kind of how they handle business. They'll wait to the end of the year and then try to go cheap again. They don't want to pay. Staley has 2 more years on his contract, so they really don't want to pay him and then have to pay another coach, head coach, quote unquote, again either. So that's a tough situation the Charger fans are in. And that's what Parsons said is kind of like if a veteran says that, that's one thing. But a third year player said the ball is like that's really a cold slap in the face. That's really a cold slap in the face. It is. Cleveland, talk about a cold slap in the face. Now, as much as I railed it against this guy for as long as we've done the show, much as I can go on and on about who was more critical to the wins up in New England, was it the coach or the quarterback? This guy actually said something, Cleveland, that You and I have to agree with. When he says there's bad coaching in the NFL, you can't argue that, can you? Can you argue there's bad coaching in the NFL, Cleveland? You have to agree with that. Can he say there's too many penalties in the NFL, too many penalties? You might not agree with that, but I agree with that wholeheartedly. When he says guys like Ronnie Lott, Ray Lewis, Rodney Harrison couldn't play in today's game because of the way they called the game, you might not agree with that, especially he threw Rodney Harrison there. I thought that was kind of funny. What do you think about what Tom Brady had to say, espousing all this stuff to see Stephen A?
Rule changes for sure. He had a chance to play for two different coaches with two different styles and approaches to the game. So, the coaching aspect, I mean, that's here or there. But, yeah, man, the rule changes dramatically changed the game.
So you're like, so the penalties, Ray Lewis, Ronnie Lott, Rodney Harrison, like you agree with them wholeheartedly.
Ray Lewis could probably still play today. Ronnie Lott and Rodney Harrison, not a chance.
I think that says something about the game. That the guys in the Hall of Fame, is Rodney Harrison in the Hall of Fame? Ronnie Lott is obviously. I don't think Ronnie.
Why would you even?
I mean, he got a ring. He got one of those rings. Like you look at a list of who got rings, and you start picking names out. He got a ring. He was a factor in the Super Bowl. He was a factor for the teams that he played with.
Ronnie Harrison is Mr. Half Second Late. You already know how I feel about Rodney Harrison.
I know, but
how many games was he suspended for late hits? I mean, it was over 15. It's crazy.
Was talking about getting suspended for hits. Kareem Jackson suspended 4 games after a hit that wasn't even flagged on the field. Like, it wasn't flagged on the field. I don't like that. You guys go back and look at games, look at film tape, and talk about, oh, that was a dirty play. Suspend that guy. I don't care for that aspect of it. I don't like that. I don't think that. You're good with that?
No, not at all. I mean, if it wasn't called, I mean, perhaps a hefty fine after you kind of review things and come to the conclusion that maybe perhaps that should have been called, but suspension of games is far more difficult financially, and the impact it has on the team. So
yeah, I don't like that.
Previously,
I mean, it was a play that happened early in the game, first play of the game, and now that I don't like that. I don't like that at all. This hip drop tackle that I want to say the hip drop kind of spawned from your guy, Pete Carroll, and that rugby tackle move that when he brought the rugby players in there to try to the hit and roll. That was a Pete Carroll origination. Would you agree? Bobby Wagner?
No.
Oh, you don't want to say you don't want to say Pete real. So Pete didn't bring in the rugby players to teach them how to hit and grab and roll over the players.
Come on,
you didn't, huh?
Pete Carroll did not create a culture of hip tackles. No.
So are you saying Pete Carroll did not bring in rugby players?
Pete Carroll did do that. Other teams did that as well, but
Pete was the first.
You're trying to insinuate that the other teams that take place or practice this are Pete Carroll disciples, and they're not.
No, I didn't say they were Pete Carroll disciples.
Pete Carroll disciples.
Pete Carroll was the first one to bring in early 2000s to bring in rugby players.
I won't say that for sure, man. I'm not going to go with that. That's
of course.
That's what a conclusion to come to draw from hip tackles. That's weird.
All right. So, are you familiar? Are you aware that Pete Carroll brought in rugby players?
Yes, I'm aware of that.
To teach the defense how to tackle.
Yes.
Okay. Are you aware that the defensive technique that they used was to hit and grab the guys and kind of roll over them?
I am not aware of any technique that was broadcast to the rest of the NFL to emulate and replicate on your own team. I haven't heard that.
It's a copycat league, Cleveland. You think of what when they start running the
I can't say for sure. I can't say for sure
when they start Cleveland when the Seahawks start running the jet sweep with dude who was the Percy Harvin that you used up for Super Bowl and got rid of him 2 weeks into the next season. Would you say Pete Carroll initiated that? Because we hadn't seen that jet sweep very often until they had the 4-2-3 Percy Harvin running that and getting everybody all off balance.
Cam, I cannot. Well,
you don't want to say that either.
On what the rest of the league was doing or why they were doing it or how they were doing it.
Okay, so you don't want. So you don't want to agree that the NFL is a copycat league. Is that what you're saying?
The NFL is a copycat league. I mean, once a Wildcat came out and Ronnie Brown and Cadillac were running it. That's great. Everybody was running a Wildcat. It was successful for a little bit. Copycat league.
But the jet sweep that went over everybody's head.
You were referring specifically to a tackling technique that you wanted to attribute to Pete Carroll bringing into the league and then causing this whole thing. And I just said no. I don't see any disciples of Pete Carroll doing this on a high level. So
you don't have to be a disciple of Pete Carroll. Why do you have to say a disciple of Pete Carroll?
Well, then who's teaching this technique? Obviously, you see. So what you're saying is they're watching Pete Carroll do it on tape, and they're like, "Oh, you guys need to do this." And all of a sudden, everybody.
So only Pete Carroll's disciples is run the jet sweep. Is this what you're trying to say? Or does the whole league run the jet sweep?
That is different than a tackling.
How is it different? How is it different? It's the same thing. It's the same thing. He introduces jet sweep to the NFL. Now everybody runs this 2 or 3 times a game. But you're saying when he brings in the rugby players to make tackles and the team goes to win a Super Bowl, goes to back-to-back Super Bowls, have one of the arguably the top 3 defenses ever to play in the game, you're saying the teams don't emulate that? Is that what you want to say?
I can't say for sure. Can't say
for sure. Okay. Can't say for sure. That's funny. Have you seen the Barry Sanders documentary?
Haven't seen it yet, man. Does he have some type of excuse or explanation other than just kind of being always a little different?
What excuse or explanation for what?
For retiring.
He was done.
At like 26 years old.
He was done. He had enough. He done enough. He wasn't interested in breaking Jim Brown's record. I hadn't seen it all. But I'll start watching a little bit of it tonight. But he was done. He was done. He didn't in high school. He didn't want to break
Whoa. So did you see the part where he answered that question, or you haven't gotten to that part of the documentary?
I haven't got to that question yet.
But they cut that out, man. Say that.
I don't need to watch the show to see that.
Why you act like you know? So you watch the documentary.
I don't have to watch the documentary to see that part. He was done.
Fans, I apologize profusely for my host coming on trying to speak for this man. Hadn't even seen the documentary yet. Wow. Why don't we have this conversation after you've actually watched the documentary and listen?
Because you probably won't. Because you're not an
explanation as to why he retired.
Because you're not an NFL fan, so you probably might not watch it. So I have to create some interest on the show.
I mean, I might watch that, but I mean, Barry's always been a funny guy, man.
Because he's been private. Because he's been private. He's a private guy. He don't care about getting in.
No, because he was always doing stuff a little bit different, man.
They're like throwing the ball to the ref after he scores a touchdown, just being. So I watched probably 20 minutes of that documentary tonight. I watched it. It's an hour and a half documentary. I watched the rest probably later on today or tomorrow. Over the weekend, I'll watch it for sure. Miami Dolphins have Hard Knock too, so I got to get some TV watching in because Miami Dolphins, the in season Hard Knocks episode started Tuesday, so yesterday. So I got to watch some of that too. So watching the 20 minutes I watched, I just want to go down the list, Cleveland, and see where we stand. There's nothing we haven't talked about before, but see where we are in the top running backs ever to play in the game, Cleveland. And I've identified what I got 8 names here, Cleveland. You want to know? You want to guess these 8 names that I have on here? At the top, the best ever to do it. You want to guess who these 8 names?
Are you asking me can I name the 8 names on your list?
Yeah.
For sure. Would you like me to start?
Yeah.
Okay. I think Jim Brown's on it.
Jim Brown is on it.
Is Walter Payton on your list?
Walter Payton is in my top 8, yes.
Is Barry Sanders on your list?
Yes, absolutely.
Is Eric Dickerson on your list?
Absolutely.
So I have 4 more to go.
Right.
Is Orenthal James Simpson on your list?
Orenthal is not on my top 8.
Okay. Is Emmitt Smith on your list?
Emmitt Smith is on my list.
So I only have 3 left to go. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Running backs. Is Earl Campbell on your list?
Earl Campbell, wow. Earl Campbell is not on my top list.
Earl Campbell's on your list. Okay.
Yeah. Well, you got 2 strikes. I expect you to bring in Earl Campbell.
So I have 3 left to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not really feeling your vibe here.
I mean, 2 of these guys should. I'll give you 2 out of 3, but you got 1 more strike to get 3.
Your favorite running backs all time. Is Marshall Faulk on your list?
Absolutely. Marshall Faulk is on my list.
So I got 2 left. Okay. 2 running backs.
Earl Campbell and OJ Simpson. OJ Simpson would be in the top 10. Not Earl Campbell, though.
Okay. Is Adrian Peterson on your list?
Adrian Peterson is on the list.
So I just have 1 more to go. The Cam Buford elusive, illustrious running back lists. Who am I missing?
You may not get this one, though.
As your 8th best running back of all time.
I actually have this guy ahead of Adrian Peterson.
What?
I actually have this guy ahead of Adrian Peterson. But
so you have somebody ahead of Adrian. Okay, this is weird. Okay.
So the list as I have it right now is you're only missing 1 guy. Is Barry Sanders, Marshall Faulk, Eric Dickerson, Emmitt Smith, Walter Payton. Or did you say Walter Payton? You did not say Walter Payton.
I did say Walter Payton.
Okay. Walter Payton, Jim Brown, this man, and Adrian Peterson.
Okay. You probably do something crazy like, say, LaDainian Tomlinson.
Oh, absolutely not. Come on. You ought to know how I feel about LaDainian Tomlinson standing on the sideline with his helmet on in the playoff game. Come on.
Okay. All right.
That rules a lot of what he's done.
You probably might go some little abstract to something like Thurman Thomas.
Thurman Thomas is absolutely on the list.
So I got all 8.
You got with 3 strikes. With 3 strikes.
I mean, some of those okay.
I mean,
they went far off.
No,
you already said 9, 10. So okay, but I got all 8. Okay.
I mean, Thurman Thomas was a bad dude. Thurman Thomas
revolutionized the position without question.
He was a bad dude. And
I don't know about top 8 all time, but I could kind of feel where you were coming with.
Thurman Thomas running and receiving, bad man.
The first one to really, put that together. Really capitalize on it because I think Roger Craig was actually the first. But
Roger played with some Hall of Famers though.
So did Thurman Thomas.
Joe Montana, Jerry Rice. Like your boy
Tim Kelly, Andre Reed.
Like Dion said, there need to be different floors in Hall of Fame.
They do.
Yeah.
Because wasn't wrong about that.
Jerry Rice and Andre Reed wouldn't be on the same floor.
Wouldn't. That's true.
Much as I like Jim Kelly, he wouldn't be on the same floor as Joe Montana.
Well, okay. Never won a Super Bowl, but 4 straight.
I mean, that's pretty good. But
probably not on the same floor.
Probably not on the same floor. So, I mean, only one probably on the same floor is, I mean, Charles Haley. Who else? Ronnie Lott. Who else was in the Eric Clark? Well, no. Who was the cornerback? Eric Wright. I mean, the only other player that played with Buffalo that might be on the floor, same floor as one of those 49ers is Bruce Smith. The only one. I mean, Thurman was a bad dude, and he would have definitely been in the same room. Marshall Faulk, man, I have a hard time getting.
You love you some Marshall Faulk, man. You love you some Marshall Faulk.
Being able to run the ball and catch out of the backfield, and you're right. Roger Craig was nice, but who did it better than Marshall Faulk? First it was Thurman Thomas, then Marshall Faulk stepped in that role. So as much as I love Eric Dickerson, he didn't catch out the backfield very often. Nor did Emmitt Smith, nor Walter Payton. He did catch out the backfield, but I mean, Marshall Faulk.
Not 1,000 yards. No, I get it. I get. You love the versatility of a running back. That's
Marshall Faulk. So
that shows on your list very, very clearly.
So this week in the NFL, let's go to the stats fans. Go to share screen, let you guys see what's going on over here this week in the NFL. So as you see here, can you see it, Cleavon? Right here. Supremacy rankings. Last week, I was Philadelphia, Detroit, KC, Cincinnati, and San Francisco. Cincinnati missed Joe Burrow. That injury takes them off the list, right? KC, their loss, that bumps them off the list. San Francisco gets elevated. Joe Burrow back in action. Brock Purdy back in action. Takes those guys to a different level when he's doing his thing. Elevates them to the best in the league now.
Whoa. Giving Brock Purdy all the credit for that is way corny because he hasn't missed a game. The players that have missed games were Deebo Samuel and Trent Williams, and they're back.
Boy, you would not give Brock any love, will you? Philadelphia.
Yeah, he was just laid on the side of the road and came back and brought him 5 more wins or something. No.
Philadelphia, I saw some slippage. I saw some slippage on Monday night. KC actually should have won that game, but they ended up winning the game. So Detroit, their comeback win was impressive. It's just I had to drop them because San Francisco got elevated. Baltimore, I put Baltimore in there because they just consistently winning games. They have a good game this weekend. No, they don't actually. They're playing the Chargers. And then Dallas made the list because again consistently winning. So they have the same record as Baltimore. I see you got Philly hasn't lost a spot. You elevated San Francisco. So San Francisco, you saw something. You saw Brock doing something with that win.
Chase Young and Nick Bosa are it's hard to stop.
Yeah, Brock, you got an uphill battle against this dude, Brock. Baltimore, so you got Baltimore, Detroit, and Dallas. So we got the same team. We just got them in different orders. Let's look here at let's look at our picks from last week. I had Baltimore, you had Cincinnati. Again, I had Cleveland. I told you I had Cleveland, and I had to make that change. I should have stuck with Cleveland because they beat the scrubby Steelers. And for some reason, people's going to be all all on the head coach Tomlin. Oh, he's doing such a good job. Well, you lose to the Cleveland Browns. Come on, man. With the third string quarterback, get out of here. Detroit gets a win. The Chargers embarrassing loss to the Packers. Embarrassing loss. Miami again. Division leading Miami Dolphins beat up on the Raiders. Washington. We both had Washington over the Giants, and what do you know? This guy living in his mom's basement comes up and throw 3 touchdown passes. So that was an impressive win for the Giants. That we had Dallas. I had Seattle, and you had the Rams. How'd you? Are you just hating on your hometown team? You like?
No, they always give them problems with regards to Cooper Kupp, who actually didn't even finish the game, and Aaron Donald. But the Seahawks have a tendency to overlook lesser teams, and
and it showed up. I had Minnesota over Denver, and Denver and Russell apparently. So you talking to Sierra? I see it shows right there. You talking to Sierra?
Yeah, we're cool.
They were able to pull that up. Cortland Sutton makes another game-winning touchdown. Cortland showing people that, hey, put some respect on my name, Cortland. I made a trade, Cortland. I traded you last year. Everybody telling me how scrubby you were. I told people that was a credible trade. Nobody wanted to give me no credit for it. The Eagles again. We talked about that one. How do we do? Oh man, hold on. What's going on here? What's going on here? So nine wins apiece, 9 out of 14, 64%. We tied there. 2 games apiece. We tied there. Looks like I got a little edge here on the picks against the spread for the year. Cleveland has a minor lead on the picks overall. How'd you do in your confidence picks, so Cleveland?
The Commanders and the aforementioned that we've spent too much time on Los Angeles Chargers let me down.
Yeah, sorry about that. Buffalo, Miami, the division leading Miami Dolphins, Detroit Lions, San Francisco 49ers, and Dallas Cowboys all won for me. So here's my games of the week this week, people. 49ers and the Seahawks Thursday night. Is this the first game the Seahawks have played on Thursday night? This has to be their first Turkey Day game, isn't it?
No, we went down to Frisco during the glory years and beat them down there and started eating the big King Henry VIII, turkey legs at a Hatfield, right there on the logo. Yeah.
Really, I don't remember that. Okay.
Little Rich Sherman and Russell Wilson with the big. Oh yeah, man, look that up.
I mean, that sounds like they might not remember that outing. That was a duel that you don't think of too often. Russell Wilson and Richard Sherman together.
Yeah, they were together. That was when things were great. Things were so good.
Things were all good. I got the Jaguars and the Texans. I think this is going to be a good game. I mean, we have obviously Dallas plays on Thanksgiving. The Lions play on Thanksgiving. The Dolphins play Friday, so that's going to be a good game. Taking a lot. The Seahawks play. We just talked about the Seahawks and the Niners play. So those are several big teams taking a lot of eyeballs away from Sunday's game. Sunday's Jaguars versus Texans. Like that's going to be a game. You got obviously CJ Stroud and your Jaguars with the running back and the quarterback, Trevor Lawrence and ETN. Like that's going to be a big game for those guys against the Tennessee Texans. The Houston Texans. Isn't that a division rival there?
It certainly is, and if the Texans win that game, be tied for the record for the division.
Yeah, so that's a big game right there for these two young teams playing a big game, like kind of unexpected actually. When you looked at the schedule in week 1, you didn't think the Jaguars and Texans in week 12 was going to be that big of a game, but here we are. And then the Bills and Eagles, I mean, who are the Bills? Can they step up and win a game? We'll see. Browns and Broncos, like 2-6. Can the Broncos continue to climb? Can the Browns stay alive? Like, here's a couple another big games that we got this weekend, and let's see how you bet these games. You agree on these being the games of the week?
Oh, without question.
Again, Packers Lions. I would say be a big game, but I don't think Jordan Love is going to show up twice. I got Detroit. Commanders, Cowboys. We got the Cowboys. We both got San Francisco over the Seahawks. The Seahawks is on swoon, man. If you don't another game you don't believe in your guys, another division rival. They're at home on Tokyo. You don't have no confidence in your guys against Brock Purdy. Against this no-name, Mr. Irrelevant Brock Purdy, you have no confidence.
Against Christian Jackson, McCaffrey, Kittle, Debo, Chase, and Bosa. Yeah, be tough. Be tough to win that one.
So Brock Purdy, where does he fall? He's not even in your list. He didn't even make the headline. Wow, Brock, you got a lot to prove this week, Brock. Dolphins and the Jets, easy win against the biplanes. Jaguars, Texans, again, we both picked Jackson. Why aren't you taking your boy CJ? How you talk all this about CJ and you won't even take him to beat Jacksonville?
Man, tough game. The division leaders are coming
They're
in.
At home. They're at home.
It's a tough rite of passage.
Oof.
Tough rite of passage.
Steelers and the Bengals. This was a big game a couple weeks ago. This was a big game at the beginning of the year, and it's a division rival. But if the Steelers can't beat, this third string quarterback your guy Browning, Joey Browning, was it Joey Browning? Was his name? Jake Browning used to play. You think no confidence in Jake Browning and do it in NFL, huh? Just get Chase the ball. Give me some points. I need points, Browning. Keep that in mind. Falcons and the Saints, who cares? Bucks and the Colts, who cares? Giants and the Patriots, who cares? Tennessee and the Panthers, who cares? Rams, Cardinals, who cares? Browns, Bucks, Browns, Broncos. I told you I think that'll be a good game. Chiefs, Raiders, that should be a blowout. Except you got the Cardinals beating the Rams. Why is that?
Man, I think Kyler Murray is starting to round into form. I didn't really think the Rams looked that great last week, to be perfectly honest with you. I thought the Seahawks should have beat them.
And you're going with Denver. You're going with Russell over the Browns, huh?
On the road, DTR. We'll see how that that third string quarterback travels.
But they got a good defense. That defense travels.
It certainly does. I wish that could cause some problems for Russ, but I think last second field goal, pull it out.
We got the Eagles over the Bills, Baltimore over the Chargers. I should have took Baltimore the points. I don't think I took Baltimore. I did take Baltimore the points. And the Bears and the Vikings. That's a sleeper game. Was that Monday Night Football game? Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Oh wow! So take your wife out to dinner. Let your wife know, fellas, that there is a Monday Night Football game on. And let's say, baby, I'm ignoring the Monday Night Football game because we're spending some time together during football season. You get some brownie points. Trust me. The points against the spread, I got the Giants +3 over the Patriots. Over the Patriots. I got Cleveland +2.5 over the Pittsburgh Steelers. Or no. Who they're playing, the Broncos, excuse me. And then I take the Baltimore -4. My confidence picks, I got Miami, KC, Baltimore, San Francisco, and Dallas. You got San Francisco, Dallas. No Baltimore.
Yeah.
No Baltimore. You got Miami, Pitt, and KC, huh? You that confidence in Pickett, huh?
I mean, over Jake Browning for sure, but yeah.
Okay.
I like that Lamar Jackson thing there. Interesting.
So I thought this would be a good time. We're more than halfway through the season. Let's look at our off-season predictions and with some of the things that top stories that we had going into the season. How many games would Tua play this year? This was remember Eric said, who said 7 games? Somebody said 7 games. Eric said 15. I told Eric if Tua played 15 games, that they might take the last game of the year off. And here we are. Tua hasn't got hurt. He's been playing all the games. Aaron Rodgers signed with the Jets. How does this end? That was the storyline. How did the Chargers rebound from a horrible playoff loss? Well, we said Aaron Rodgers got hurt. The Chargers stink. Do the Eagles avoid a Super Bowl hangover? I said yes then, and they've proven that they have. And can the Chiefs repeat? I picked the Eagles to win, so that was still something that we wanted to figure out. Tomlin not having a losing season. That was one of your storylines going into the season. Tomlin not having a losing season, and here we are. I mean, he's 6-3, right? So 9 games in, how did they finish? Can he finish without a losing season? Bill Belichick will not make the playoff, Cleveland predicted. Cleveland showing some foresight there and saying Bill Belichick will not make the playoffs. How you feel about that prediction?
Feel pretty confident with that one, Cam. Yeah, I think that's going to happen.
Jonathan Taylor saga. How will that end? Obviously, Taylor's been in the league doing this thing. Can Chase Young live up to the hype? Well, Chase Young is now in San Francisco. You get a chance to see what Chase Young is doing in that white and gold uniform he's wearing these days. Eagles experiment. Will Jalen Carter have an impact? Jalen Carter have an impact in the Georgia impact that they have? How would you say that Jalen Carter is impacting the Eagles?
I think it's been kind of an ebb and flow. I think in the beginning he was having certainly some breakout moments. Haven't heard his name a lot lately, though, as we kind of get a little bit later into the season. So we'll see how his body holds up. We'll see how teams are able to adjust to his skill set on the fly, and we'll see if he continues to make an impact.
Wasn't it Jalen Carter, though, at the end of the game when the Chiefs were driving and they had to spike the ball? Jalen Carter tried to sneak under the center and try to catch the ball. Wasn't that Jalen Carter?
Could have been.
I think that was Jalen Carter, actually. And the Ravens offense, how would that transpire? How has the Ravens offense transpired this year?
It's been much better than in years past. So they definitely made some improvements.
Okay, fam. Thank you guys for tuning in to the NFL topic, man. We went long on that one. Cleveland, let's talk some NBA. The Clippers right now. Did they win tonight? The Clip Show win tonight? Let me check real quick. Coming into the night, they played the San Antonio Spurs, so they should have won that game. Last I saw, they were up, but let me check. The Los Angeles Clippers beat the San Antonio Spurs 109-102. So that's 3 wins in a row, Cleveland. 3 wins in a row since getting their first win with James Harden on the team, and since Russell went to the bench. What's your thoughts on the Clippers getting their 3rd win in a row?
Well, good for them, Cam. I mean, during our last show, I said it was going to take some time for them to get their chemistry and, get their wits about them and, play as a cohesive unit. I said, maybe in excess of 25 to 30 games, but, sounds like they were able to get this correct rather quickly. So, I don't see any reason that they shouldn't be, vying for a Western Conference final appearance, perhaps.
Kawhi had a post-game interview. I heard what you said. I'm going to ignore that. Kawhi had a post-game interview when he said, I'm just getting used to playing without the ball in my hands and having to catch and shoot because he's used to playing, and have to find his own shot. Now having somebody do that for him, he's not he's getting used to that. I found that kind of interesting. Like, I've been saying the Clippers needed a point guard, and James Harden is coming around and showing that he can play the point guard position and get the balls in these players' hands, kind of in their shooting rhythm, and good for them. What do you think? What do you think of Pop getting on the mic tonight and defending his old player in Kawhi Leonard in San Antonio?
No, man, it's fine for the fans to express themselves however they see fit. Pop coming to one of his former players' defense. I mean, that was admirable. That's cute. I mean, that's what that's what Pop does. But hey, man, Kawhi made his own bed lying in it, man.
They were still booing. That was before halftime. They were still booing though in the third quarter. Last I seen. Durant the other night moved to 30th. Durant the other night moved to 11th on the scoring list. He's less than 100 points from Moses and just about 1,000 points from Carmelo. What's your thoughts on Kevin Durant getting to number 11 on the scoring list?
It's only a matter of time. He'll end up top 5 all time, at least, if not higher.
The Suns. I mean, you remember the joke Cedric the Entertainer said about Luther Vandross. He's like, I like Luther, the big Luther though. The big Luther with his curl just quite couldn't get right. That's the Suns, man. That's where the Suns are right now. That's what I think of when I think of the Suns. Like they just ain't doing what we thought they do. Now we haven't seen the Bill, Booker, and Durant combo yet, and we're 3 weeks into the season. I mean, they got. I think KD. I don't know what's up with KD, man. He left Golden State, left OKC, went to Golden State. Obviously, won back-to-back titles. Right? It's been downhill all since then. Went to Brooklyn, down. Things didn't work out right. Now he's in Phoenix. Things just ain't seeming to work out right. I kind of hate to see it for KD. He's a good dude, and not doesn't appear to be a problem child, but things just don't seem to work out for him. What do you think? What are your thoughts on KD?
Well, I mean, KD makes his own decisions, right? So he decided that him and Russell Westbrook weren't good enough to win in OKC, so he went to a team that won 73 games a year before that, championship, injury, and then he left. So, okay, fine. He went to Brooklyn to play with his dude. He's 6 inches away from hitting the three-pointer that, propels that team into the NBA Finals. Giannis ends up getting that chip. It all falls apart around Kyrie and Harden in Brooklyn. He leaves, he goes to Phoenix. He entrusts that they'll put, some players around him, D-Book, and, they put an oft-injured Bradley Beal with him. So, I mean, that's it. Unfortunately, there's something to that Bradley Beal, whispering, right? Like, can he stay healthy? Like, when he's healthy, great. But when is that? I mean, we're already, almost 20 games into the season, right? How many games has he played? 3 or 4? Right. Still a couple of weeks from being reevaluated.
Reevaluated, right.
Yeah, so you can't really put that on Kevin Durant.
No, and they're not putting it on Kevin Durant. It's just the things haven't really worked out.
I mean, ironic. I mean, he decided that he wanted to leave Golden State in a haste, and he didn't like the fact that he wasn't getting enough credit for his contribution to what he thought he was bringing to the situation. So, okay.
KD right now, he has more than 25 points today. He scored 25 points in 11 straight games, 14 straight games, for the Suns, and which is a franchise record. So, I mean, he's putting up points still, but just things ain't worked out quite right for him. Your guy, LeBron James, cracked 39,000 points. Mm-hmm. The only player to get 39,000. In what year is he in?
Well, I mean, he's in his 21st season, but I mean, he's already the leading scorer of all time. So every point he scores is, a new milestone. So kind of a weird stat in and of itself.
Who's the leading scorer in the NBA?
Who's the leading scorer in the NBA? I have no idea. I was talking about all-time points is what I was talking about.
Yeah. Who has the all-time points? Is that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar?
That's LeBron James.
Okay.
You forgot when he broke Kareem's record last year, and Kareem came out and gave him the award and all that. Did you miss that?
Yeah, I did.
You blocked that out of you blocked that out of your mind, is what you
did. Purposely.
Yeah.
San Antonio. They were 1-9. Now they're out of the last 10 games. They're 0-10 in the last 10 games. Haven't got a win since they beat the Suns the 2nd of November. What's your thoughts on the Suns, or what's your thoughts on the Spurs?
Work in progress. They have to figure out how to use, Wemby to his highest and best use. Hopefully, that is everyone understanding that he is the focal point of the offense. Get the ball to him as much as he can and work on a go-to move for him. I think once they were able to do that, they'll get better.
The Pacers beat the Hawks 157-152. No overtime. Regular 12-minute game, 12-minute quarters. Do you like this new basketball? No defense, just
that's very unique, very unusual. I would call this kind of an anomaly within the situation. I don't think you can really put a lot of emphasis on this score because it's unusual.
Okay. So your thoughts on this tournament, Cleveland? Mm-hmm. The Lakers win their pod 4-0. Pacers win their pod 3-0. How do you this is such a headache to figure out.
Man, Cam, just let it go, man. Just let it play itself out. Just let it do its thing, man. You keep trying to overanalyze the tourney, man. Just let the tourney do its thing.
I'm just trying to figure the damn tournament out.
Well, hey, man, just let it do its thing, okay? You're overanalyzing the tourney, man. Eventually, it's going to get to the championship. You're going to be excited about it, okay? Trust me.
Not if the Lakers are in it. I won't be excited about it. I assure you of that. All right, man. You want to take a quick break or you want to run through the show? What you want to do?
Quick break. I'll be back in 45.
All right.
All right.
Am I speaking to right now?
Cameron.
My name
Cameron. Cam Buford.
I'm a Dolphin fan. This is a big year for Tua to prove that he's a franchise quarterback.
I'm more a fan of boxing. Boxing is my main sport.
As a competitor, how much does that competitive spirit get in there and say, I want to fight this guy. I want to get some of this guy.
Of course I want to fight all the guys. Of course that. But at the same time, like I keep telling you, it's a business.
Talk about that loyalty for a moment.
I'm standing there to try to make a change. Get back to the youth, get back to my community and show them that there is hope that you can make it out. Only thing is you just got to be dedicated. You got to keep your head down and stay on this course that you're heading towards.
Think about it like this. The promoter pays the fighter. The fighter pays the manager.
Okay.
So the manager works for the fighter. The fighter works for the promoter.
Okay.
If you can see, you can believe.
Do you are lifting weights currently?
When he said it's easier to score in the NBA versus Europe, did you agree with him?
To me, it's easy to score all over the world.
On your team, is ball number is the number 2 option or your number 3 option? On your Kenny Smith team, 30 nights a year, he's my number 1 option. 30 nights. Can I finish right now?
Do you want me to speak or do you want to conduct the interview and answer for me?
What do you
Which
think?
one?
What do you think about these upcoming?
Like I was saying before.
Well, every game's in the experience, different defense, different players, different game plan. So.
Aaron, what has the game of baseball taught you?
One of the biggest things is being humble.
Or can you give a message to the kids to kind of persevere through the false teachings they may be giving?
Patience.
Okay.
Patience.
As the show voice of the fan,
Oh my goodness!
continues to
I'm in
evolve.
Come on, you were adding some spice to it.
It is strictly banter back and forth between myself and Cameron Buford.
I enjoy all of it.
Real ones know what's going on, right?
Like you said, Pacific Northwest, so I think it's a big part of my game, and every time I step on the floor, I just want to represent myself.
You play this game and you don't turn to win a championship, then why are you playing for?
I'm happy for the Mariners. I'm happy.
Yeah,
for
yeah, no, yeah, Ken, nobody.
Never mind.
Go watch the tape. Go watch the tape, and then you tell me if it was all about just a system.
Look like a buffoon.
Go do your research. Go do your study.
I'm not caught up to you guys yet. I do
Real,
knowing
real
that.
surprised at that, Ken.
Hey, give here. It's okay.
Oh, this guy.
That's what's good in sports, man. It's the big Snoop Dogg, man.
That's what's good in sports. Hey, man, thanks for making our voice your choice. You know how we do.
You saw my dog Snoop. Don't let Cleveland cloud your mind, fans. You guys saw my dog Snoop in the video.
Not in your top 100. That's terrible.
Fans, each and every week, man, part of our show, we do This Week in History. We kind of give you guys a little history lesson, kind of things that's been going on back in the day. November 23, 1897, Andrew J. Beard invented the Jerry coupler, still used today and connected in railroad cars. 11/22, 2002, more than 100 people killed in Nigeria in an attack aimed at contestants of the Miss World contest. I don't remember that, of the Miss World pageant. I don't remember that. 11/23, 1996, Ethiopian Airlines Flight 961 was hijacked, then crashed into the Indian Ocean. Do you recall that, Cleveland?
No, I do not.
Yeah, killed 123 people. I did not remember that. 11/22, 1989, Colonel Frederick D. Gregory becomes first African American to lead a space mission. 11/22, 1986, George Brenham becomes first African American to win Professional Bowling Association title. You remember George Brenham? I haven't heard of that dude. 11/21, 1982, National Football League resumed its season following a 57-day player strike. That was a strike before, 87, I guess? Just 5 years. It seemed like they had them pretty back-to-back in the 80s. I told you last week Harbaugh should have just accepted that penalty, man. Just accept the penalty and just be done with it, man. You'll be back in time for college football playoff. And maybe somebody on the staff listened to the show, because days later he accepted the penalty and said, we're not going to fight it. We'll take the penalty and just coach the team, and then we'll be back for the playoffs. If to make the playoffs, that is. Dion now says they're not an ATM. They're not an ATM. They won't be playing any players to come to Colorado. It's about opportunity, football, and academics. Are you buying what Dion's talking about? Dion, how you say this, dog, and your son makes $5 million NIL money? Like, what are you talking about, dog? Like, come on, man. College football, the poll comes out. We got Georgia number 1, Ohio State number 2, Michigan number 3, Florida State falls to number 5. Like, what do you think? You think Florida State deserved to fall to 5?
I do, Cam.
What? Because their quarterback got hurt?
Amongst other things, yes.
Like, what other reason could there be for them to fall to 5?
Well, the University of Washington Huskies beating the Oregon State Beavers.
Florida State didn't lose.
They didn't, but they also didn't beat a ranked team in the top 15.
The Beavers, man, you guys got lucky and beat the Beavers. Would you admit that?
No.
You wouldn't admit that Penix completing the pass on what was it, 4th and 2, throwing a 20-yard route to his receiver. Like, I don't know what your coach. Do you agree with that call?
Up 23-10.5, they were able to hold on to the victory. So that's what I saw.
You're a little ornery on Saturday, man. I tried to text you and say what's up. You didn't want to talk.
Yeah, because I know how you do, Cam. You're trying to put a bad juju on the Huskies, and I'm just not having it, man. Don't call me during the Apple Cup either.
Well, I texted you last week. I might call you this week because the Cougars are coming to town. Are you going to the game?
Not so far. We'll see if I get tickets.
I mean, the Cougars. You might just want to stay home at this one because it's going to be cold. It's going to be wet, and to drive home after a loss in that weather. I mean, that's a long commute from Montlake to Renton. You might not want to make that commute, fella. I'm saving you some time.
Okay.
After a loss,
it's a weird bandwagon you're jumping on, the Coug bandwagon, but okay.
I'm just predicting, like the Coug. Did you see what they did to Colorado?
To Colorado, I sure did.
They put a 50 on them.
I did see what they did to Colorado.
They even kicked Shador out the game.
I did see what they did to the Colorado Buffaloes.
Your Heisman Trophy winner, Shador, was your Heisman Trophy candidate early in the season, and they sent him to the bench. Are you aware of that?
No, I saw all that. Yeah. Bring him on. We'll be down at Montlake. So 1:00.
It's a 1:00 game.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you guys try to get as much sunlight as possible for that game, huh?
It's an extra advantage. So
this series, it's a 500 series. It's been a pick 'em the last 2 years. It's a pick 'em. We look at the last 2 years, it's 50-50. What are you laughing at, man?
That sample size is huge.
We just want to look at the last.
I see why you want to dig too much deeper.
We just wanted to look at the last couple of years, make it relevant.
2021 and 2022. I got you.
We just want to make it relevant.
Why look any further than that?
I mean, if I was you, I'd be nervous. If I was the Huskies right now, I'd be nervous. Like I said, I wouldn't. If I was you, I wouldn't even buy tickets right now. Because what did you guys do against Colorado? I don't recall. You guys did you guys play Colorado this year?
Did not play Colorado this year, no.
Oh, so your liked opponents? Who you guys play? Who was your last like opponent? Let me see what Washington State did against Oregon State. Did they play Oregon State?
Man, I don't pay any attention to Washington State whatsoever. So you would have to enlighten me on all of those statistics.
I mean, I know you. It just sounds like a lot of hate right now.
Well, it's Apple Cup season, Cam. You don't understand.
So they lost. They put up 38 on Oregon State. How much you guys put on Oregon State?
26.
Like 20? Like 20?
26. That came out at home or on the road?
Ooh, they put on 38 on them. They put a 38 on those guys. I don't know if you're ready for that. Man, I'm telling you, man. I don't know if you guys is ready, Cleveland. I don't know. That was like opponents. Like opponents. I don't know if you guys are ready for that, man. Because these guys come at you in waves. They come at you in waves, man. So I don't know. You better get ready. Angel Reese missed 2 games. Kim Mulkey calls herself protecting her players by saying she's not going to reveal to reporters why she's out. What do you think with Angel Reese and the LSU Tigers?
I have no idea, man. Kind of a weird story. It's very mysterious. I don't know what to make of all of that.
I mean, you riding with Kim Mulkey?
I'm not riding with nobody. I mean, it's just it's just kind of a weird thing that's going on down there. Like, what's going on? Like, nobody wants to say anything. So,
yeah, Kim Mulkey got some stink about her, man. I'm not a real fan of Kim Mulkey. To be honest with you, not a real fan of Kim Mulkey, but that's neither here nor there. Let's before fans, I want to thank you guys for tuning in once again to the Voice of the Fans podcast. This is a holiday special. Before we enter the show, just want to show Cleveland something real quick. Cleveland, how's your fantasy squad doing?
Man, doing all right. Had a few hiccups last week, but still in the playoffs. That's all we can do.
So you keep touting still in the playoffs. You might not be in the playoff for long because there's still weeks in the season, right?
There are.
I mean,
I'm confident the team will ride its ship. So
let's see who you playing this week. This you?
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, who you got this week? The Stars? Oh, you got a cakewalk. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Let's see. I'm trying to find the standings right here. All right, can you see this?
I do.
Can you see who's still leading the league in scoring and points? Can you see that?
I see number 7. So I mean, on the outside looking in is what I see.
Okay, you see the W2 right now? What's your W? What's this mean? Your streak, winning streak. That's almost the biggest winning streak in the league, except for Squad Up right now. Look at Squad Up, then jumped up to 9-2. Jumped up to 9-2.
It's fine.
Huh?
It's fine.
What happened to your guy Tony last week? Last week you said you can't beat Tony, blah, blah, blah. Tony this, Tony that. I mean,
you beat him by what, 2 points?
Did you cry? Was you crying on his shoulder or what?
No. I just figured that he would take care of business after I'm my own team. I can't be responsible for everyone else. I just thought, on paper, looked like he was gonna mop you. That's all.
Well, you got two L's in a row. What you gonna do about that?
Make some adjustments and continue making this playoff run.
Let's see who you got on your team. Let's see. CJ Stroud, Odell Beckham. You still riding with Odell, huh? ATN, Jamari Gibbs. He been carrying you. Gibbs has been carrying you. Isaiah Pacheco. The rest of these are nobody. Charbonnet, how's he been paying out for you?
Well, he's about to get a lot of reps. I have to decide if I want to start him or Pacheco. I haven't decided just yet.
Yeah, because Kenneth Walker, man, damn you. What happened, Kenneth?
Abdominal strain, unfortunately.
Yeah, he hurt me, had me nervous last week. Like, yeah, I had to sit him down. Like, dog, you had me nervous. You had me sweating the game out last week. Jackson, you haven't showed up for me. I thought you was gonna have a breakout year. What's going on with Jackson Smith?
Geno Smith is throwing him the ball, so it's very.
Oh, here you go. Here you go.
Hit or miss what he's going to be able to do. So
here you go. Geno Smith is throwing him the ball. You got to be smacked for that. Slapping. So, man, I'm one game out of playoffs action right now. You see that? One game out of. Let me go back to the full league overview right now. One game out of playoff action. Here are the standings. Cleveland, if you lose, the pressure's on. If you lose this week, you see I'm right there. We're going to have a tie record because I'm winning this week. Mm-hmm. You see the pressure's on you. I got a winning streak coming, buddy. That W2 means win streak, right?
Okay, sure. Continue on that path. Best of luck to you.
I mean, you don't have to wish me best of luck to me. I'm just kind of pointing out some of the obvious, man. You might be in trouble this week. You're gonna have to figure something out. Shakur Stevenson. Did you watch Shakur Stevenson last Thursday? Last Thursday night?
I did not watch boxing on Thursday. I didn't.
Oh, you clowning. They had the F1. Did you watch any of the F1 race? Any of the
11:30 at night, man. What's the deal with the time? It was crazy late.
It's not for us. It's not for us. It's a European sport, bro.
It's how dark when they're showing it live over there. It's like it's
early in the morning over there. Them Europeans up drinking coffee.
It is, but the course that they're driving is dark. I get what time it is over there. That's not what I'm saying.
No, you didn't see how many lights they had on the track in Vegas? You didn't see that track was there. It's not dark for them. That track is well lit. Well lit. But yeah, I agree with you. It was it started 10:30 at night here. Well, excuse me, it didn't start it. They did an hour pre-race hype. The race didn't start till 11:30, but I stayed up and watched it. Man, it was pretty interesting. It was pretty interesting. The guy was, I'm into driving like that, so it was pretty interesting. I can say that it was a spectacle. That was something. If I was in Vegas, if I was near Vegas, I'd have tried to be there because that was clearly a spectacle. Rihanna was there, so I certainly would have made my way there to talk to see if I can introduce or interview Rihanna and her little kids. So that was interesting. Apparently they're gonna do it again next year as well. So, so those modifications that they made to Vegas, like they're not permanent because apparently they're planning to do it again. This weekend, Cleveland, you got David Benavidez and Demetrius Boo Boo Andrade. You interested in this fight?
Nah, man.
You got Jose Benavidez and Jamal Charlo. Interested in that fight?
Nah, man.
They're on the same card. You need to watch this. This is the Benavidez and Boo Boo Andrade is going to be a good fight. Benavidez, what do you like about boxing? Let me ask you that first. What is it that you like about boxing?
Big name fights between talented fighters that can, ultimately lead to bigger fights.
Okay, Cleveland. We looked at Jacksonville playing Tennessee or playing the Houston Texans this weekend, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that the best game that the NFL has for the weekend?
No, that's a schedule. That's different than promoters putting fights together. It's not the same thing at all. Should be no type of comparison or analogy that you're making between those two things.
So my analogy to that is, in boxing, you don't always get the very best fights every time out. In fact, the fact is that David Benavidez, both of these fighters actually is who Canelo has been avoiding. Canelo Alvarez, have you heard of him?
I have heard of him.
Is he one of the? Would he bring your eyeballs to the TV screen?
Depends on who is fighting.
So Canelo Alvarez again has been avoiding both of these fighters, David Benavidez and Demetrius Boo Boo Andrade. The only reason that Canelo would be avoiding these guys is for one particular reason. Would you agree with that?
Oh yeah, I mean, if it can bring blemish to his record, then for sure.
What up, TPJ? How you doing, big dog? Where are you listening, and how are you listening to the show, Chief? How are you listening to the show? Let us know that. Again, with David Benavidez and Demetrius Boo Boo Andrade being ducked by Canelo, this is a fight to the pre-fight. These guys, Canelo should be aiming to fight either one of these guys. The winner of this fight should be fighting Canelo next. Excuse me.
Okay.
Go Dogs.
Yeah, Joe. Tell him.
Go Dogs.
Yeah.
I hope the dogs don't go. I hope the dogs don't go because you guys got Cougars coming to Montlake. How did the cats and dogs get along? You guys got Cougars coming tomorrow late.
Can't believe someone from the 206 will literally ally themselves with the Washington State Cougars. That's wow. It's embarrassing.
I mean, your Hawks are going to be Hawks are in trouble tomorrow. I mean, I'm not rocking with either one of these teams, Joe. either one.
Seahawks talk, Joe.
Either one of those teams. Yeah, that's going to be interesting. Definitely grew up in 206, born and raised. Cleveland grew up.
Generation here.
Yeah, so I'm there, ran the streets. Again, I gave my reason for not liking UW. Maybe it was off show. But yeah.
Yeah, man, and it wasn't it didn't hold water then. It's not holding water now. And now, Joe, for some reason, he's decided he wanted to ally himself with the Cougars, of all people. Wow.
Maple Valley. Okay, my sister got a house in Maple Valley. So what up, Joe? What up, Joe? What up, Joe? Thanks for tuning in, big dog. We appreciate you guys. Appreciate you for joining the show. But I think the Cougars are going to get a W. Cougars in the upset action. If you wasn't listening earlier, in the last two games is 50%, right? It's 50-50. It's a nice little mix. If you
they're 1-1 in their last two Apple Cups.
Right, exactly.
Right.
So
yes.
I mean, that sounds like a good chance to win to me. We're gonna ride with that. Each and every day, fans, we leave you guys with a quote. We end the show with a quote. Tonight's quote that I'm gonna leave you guys with is, "Ask not what you can do for your teammates." Excuse me. Ask not what your teammates can do for you. Ask what you can do for your teammates. Once again, let me clean it up. Ask not what your teammates can do for you. Ask what you can do for your teammates. Be a team player. Family matters this weekend. When you guys go out and enjoy your time with your family this weekend, be a family player, Cleveland. Wash the dishes, man. Pick up after the kids. Keep the house clean. Be good guests when you guys go out somewhere, and take something with you, Cleveland. What dessert or side are you looking forward to most this weekend?
Oh man, Cam, it's already in the oven, man. It's the macaroni and cheese and the greens.
Macaroni and cheese. Are you cooking?
No, the wife, Lala's cooking.
Okay, all right. Well, wash some dishes, Cleveland. Wash some dishes this week, man.
Oh, we'll do that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, wash some dishes, Cleveland.
I've been a great sous chef all last 2 days preparation.
Okay, all right. Well, good deal, man. Well, I wish you and the wife the best of the holidays, and then we'll catch up next week, fans. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Voice of the Fans podcast. As always, man, hit that subscribe button, please. Hit the like button. Leave a comment. Let us know where you're tuning in from. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Thomas. Thank you, SB, for tuning into the show. We appreciate all you guys. And leave a comment. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Thank you guys for always tuning in. That's my appreciation for you guys. And as always, fans, thank you for making our voice your choice.